don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 336th episode of the Political Spotlight. Man, we got here fast tonight. Fast. You know, for so long, I just don't like the top of the hour. In radio, always... Your favorite radio programs don't come on at the top of the hour and the half hour. They come on 6 minutes past. If you want to listen to a radio program, you don't listen at 10 a.m. You listen at 10:06. You don't turn into Rush Limbaugh at 12 o'clock. You turn into Rush Limbaugh at 12:06. And so when I first started doing this, it was just podcasting, so it didn't really matter when I did things. But then on my lives, I wouldn't ever do like right on the odds. I would do like 8:35 or 9:05. And I just did that because I liked that rather than the 6th. But for such a long time, we got to where we were doing it at 9 o'clock. And it seems like this week, for some reason, I've just been off and I haven't been able to get everything uploaded the way that I want to. We're still dealing with my grandfather's port in his arm. My grandfather has a 2-line lumen pick. It just looks like it's like a permanent IV that they run in, and it runs further down into the vein, and it's for them to get at-home medicine in or to take blood. And so we're still dealing with that. We should hopefully hear from the doctor tomorrow. And our hopes and our prayers are that the infection is gone and we'll be able to end the antibiotics. I've got to get up and go over there every day at like 10 a.m. And I normally stop in and see my grandparents once a day or once every couple of days. So it's not like it's anything drastically out of normal. The only thing that's kind of abnormal is generally I would wake up at home, I would do things, and then I would go over later in the day. So that's kind of throwing a little bit of wrench into things, but we're getting through it. He's doing well. They're going to cut him off of the occupational therapist tomorrow. That's the guy that's been coming out and making sure that he can walk. There's never been anything wrong with his legs. So that's kind of been weird, but that ends tomorrow. And so he's doing well. So I want to thank everybody that's been asking about that and everybody that's been praying. He's doing well. The arm is doing well, doing good. A couple more weeks and he'll have the brace off and he'll be back to normal, and we'll be geared up and ready to go in and have the surgery on his right arm at that point? God, I don't know. That's what we were gearing up for. We were getting ready this winter to go under the knife and have his right arm totally replaced, his shoulder. And then the total replacement that he had last year, 2 years ago, it crapped out on us and it popped out of place. And so, lots of fun. But, hey, look, it's not me. It's not my arm. So I have nothing to complain about. I like going over and spending time with him. It's been fun and it's a good time. And it is definitely a learning experience for everyone. Experience in patience. I'm not a good doctor. I've killed all my patients. I don't have any patients. Every time I go over there, they the medicine, I have to inject saline into him, and then I have to inject the medicine over like a 10-minute window where you push some and then you let it go and you push some, and then I have to inject more saline into him, and then heparin, which is a blood thinner. And the saline and the heparin, it's like in the movies where you squish it up and have the liquid come out of the needle, so you're not injecting air into him. And every time he says, "What's that? The saline?" And I always say, "No, it's just straight air." Or I say, "No, it's arsenic, poison or whatever." So he's still alive. So I've obviously not killed him yet. So that is fantastic. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have a show to do. I apologize about the thumbnail. I will get a thumbnail up as soon as the show is over. It won't really matter then. People in the future, the people that will watch this via replay, they will get to see a beautiful thumbnail. You guys can all come. I tell you what, watch the show live now and hit the thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And then after the thumbs up, come back and rewatch the show. And then you won't have to like it then, but come back and rewatch it anyways, because it'll be fun. You can click on the thumbnail and ooh and ah. It'll be beautiful. It's going to have something like Dan in it, and maybe a little bit of Braun in it, and maybe a little bit of Trump in it. I don't know if we're going to get to Trump tonight or not, but we'll talk a little bit about the Pam Bondi thing to freak all of our friends on the left out and everything. So I'm sure we might get to that a little bit. But before we get there, we've got to talk about some Muncie stuff. That's going to make everybody happy. Muncie news. And then we've got some state of Indiana stuff that we're going to be talking about. We've got a pretty good show for you to kill the end of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my family, those out there that are watching this, my enemies, thank God today's the end of the week. We will not have a show tomorrow unless something just absolutely goes crazy. Like Lewis would have to come back to the States tomorrow for us to have a show, or something just absolutely insane would have to happen in order for us to come back and have a show tomorrow. Same with Saturday. There will be no show tomorrow. There will be no show Saturday. The only reason we will do a show tomorrow or Saturday is if something totally insane happens. Yeah, watch Lewis land tomorrow. That would be hilarious. I could think of a couple of other things that would be interesting that I would probably come on and do a show, but I don't think they're going to happen. So we'll see. So if you're like, wait a minute, but how will we know? How will we know if something exciting goes on? Well, my friends, that's why you should subscribe if you haven't, and like the show if you do. You know how easy that is? Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do. Comment over there, and if you're watching in the future on replay, comment down below. And if you're my friend, share the show with all that you know. It kind of rhymes. You see that? I'm going to start saying that kind of in that pattern because it flows, it's easy, it's good, and to do all of that. But when you click all of those things, when you subscribe, it will then give you the option to click the bell so you can get notified when we go live. Because as everyone knows, we're here 5 nights a week, Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. But if you are clicking the bell and you set up your notifications, then you will be notified when we would go live. Who was the blonde woman who would pray over Trump? Millions of, I mean, you mean specifically like who was the, like, is it a figure? I don't know. I imagine there are millions of blonde women who pray over Trump. I don't know specifically who you'd be talking about. I know that Pam Bondi either is or at least was quite a looker at one point. I don't know that that's still happening or not, but I know that she at least one point was or is. Have you, Stumblefoot, have you seen this person? Pam Bondi is or was quite a looker. Hey, look at this. We finally have somebody. What? What are you holding your mouth for? Oh, we finally have somebody.
I have a dog.
Yeah.
It passed some very potent gas.
Okay.
So that's why I was sitting down here like this.
Rancid.
Thank God we're here. Now I heard Niles. Don't lie. That's Niles, not the dog, and he's passing it off on the dog.
Oh no, this is bad even for him.
Oh God, I smell it through the computer. Go away. Thank God we're all on the computer. No, I was just getting ready to get happy. Look at this. Look at I don't know how to pronounce this name. I like it. Tangel is from Rumble. The Rumble feed is actually clicking in the comments now. That's never happened before tonight. That's exciting. So welcome, this person right here, whatever your name is, welcome. Tanya L. It could be Tanya L. It very well could be. Maybe Tanya L. From Rumble. Welcome. We are on Rumble. It's wonderful. We're glad to have you. I've been monitoring the stuff on Rumble. We've been on Rumble here for a little bit, and we're getting a lot of views on Rumble after the fact. It's just kind of a weird thing, but welcome. I'm glad to see that the comments are finally clicked over to our to the duck. So Leo68 said, do you know what's going on north of the airport in Muncie? Leo, like, do you mean actively something like some kind of police action or something's going on there? Like it's something crazy's happening currently as we speak? Or do you mean some kind of a project that they're working on during the day and they're doing something? I'm trying to gather. Just saying, do you know what's going on north of the airport in Muncie? I'm just trying to gather, do you mean like what's actively going on right now as we speak? Or is there some kind of a project going on? The reason I ask that is because a couple days ago, some people ask about this, if it's what I think you're talking about. And someone said that they are redoing some stuff at the airport One of those things is they were taking down an old fence and putting up like a new fence around the place, but I've not been over that way and I don't know. I hope it's not some kind of tall fencing. Yes. Okay, so Leo, what we've heard, and I will tell you, it's not like maybe we thought they were like bringing aliens in, or we were going to be like part of a, secret, clandestine, base of some kind. No, it's nothing fun like that. They are just, they're just repairing the fencing, is all that's going on. So yeah, that's what's happening there. Hey, look here. First phase of the new fencing going in at the airport. Matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I can actually show you. Look, this is how we've got a show and everything to do, an actual show, but somebody asks, and we like to accommodate here so people have an understanding of what's going on, and we can make everyone feel comfortable about everything, and let everybody know kind of what's happening. We can show you live what's going down. Let me show you here. That's what they're telling. They're telling us it's nothing but the tall fencing, but it's really those aliens. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first round of the alien situation going on in Muncie, Delaware County, just north of the Muncie airport. And what the thing says, just so you guys can see it, is October 30th says the first phase of the new fencing going in at the airport. So looky there. That was beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, last night, if you watched last night's episode 335, let's see here. Let's see. Whoops. Give me 1 second here. Internment. Yeah, that's what it is, Tweety Bird. It's an internment camp for aliens. It's definitely not an internment camp for crazy people that hate Trump. It's certainly an internment camp for aliens. So, Tweety Bird, you and my grandpa are okay. You'll never be taken there. I promise. Okay. He said with an evil laugh. I love you guys. I wouldn't let them take you to a camp. Listen, man. Okay, good. At least Tweety Bird laughed at that. That's all that matters. I threw my grandpa under the bus too, so it's not like it wasn't just you. You know what I mean? So it's like it wasn't just you. Area 68. Just like Muncie, it couldn't give us one more. So okay, getting back to what I was saying there. Sorry, I had to finish some typing. I realized I only had half of that done. If you watched last night's program, episode 335, and I really will tell you guys, if you have not watched last night's program, please do so. And I'm telling you, I am kicking myself. I am so mad at myself. And let me tell you guys why. Okay. So last night, after the show got done, I sat here and I worked on a couple of really cool things. I sat here and I really kicked ass. I made some stuff in Canva. I did a really good job working on some things because I had a plan of what I was going to do last night with the news that I told in our longer format episode. So I can sometimes shake it out of that. Sorry, hold on. I know we're having glitchy Wi-Fi, but you can still hear me. So that's all that matters. Give me 1 second. We'll get it. Okay. So last night we did our regular long version episode. So then I made a couple of plans for a couple shorts and a couple posts I was going to make on social media today. So last night, just a quick brief rundown. Last night's episode, we talked about, I came out. Now, you'll hear from people like Troy Tackett that, oh, I knew that news a month ago. And I said, well, okay, Troy, that's wonderful. I'm glad you did. Did you share it with anybody? Or did you just hold it inside your little pea brain? Because, like, wonderful for knowing the news and having the news a month ago, I would hope that Ridenour didn't just decide to do crazy shit yesterday and it pop out. I mean, when you say you knew it a month ago, look, today's the 21st. I said last night that I was made aware of this on the 6th. That's damn near a month ago. I mean, it's, 2 weeks, 2 more weeks than it would have been a month. So, like, don't get me, bro. Like, it's calm down. He always gets mad at me because I put breaking news on things like that. Listen, it's breaking news, you tool bag, because nobody else knows about it. You knew about it a month ago. I found out about it a month ago, and other Ridenour people knew about it, but the greater walking public doesn't, because I asked him. I said, hey, Troy, when you were just walking down the road and Ridenour beamed this into your brain, did you share it with the 80 people on your wall? Did you share it with the 4 people you talked to a day? Or put it on Facebook? Did you tell anybody? Or did you just say, hey, look, I know some information. I'm going to store it and wait until Bilbrey brings it up, and then I'm going to bust his balls for saying, hey, I knew about that. That's not breaking news. He's done that like several times. I'm like, good, dude. Like, cool. Like, there are people at City Hall that when they watched last night's episode, they called me today and they were like, that's not happening. And I was like, yes, it is. And they're like, no, that's not happening. And then Mayor Ridenour put out a community update today that confirmed the political spotlight was right. So it's cool that you knew it, Troy. And I knew it on November 6th. So you beat me, bro. You beat me. Everybody, here's the funny thing. Nobody was doing anything. I was putting out videos. I was putting out posts on social media for Winchester. And then I came to Muncie. Then I started doing it around. And then all of these Delaware County awareness groups start popping up. And everybody and their brother has a page and a platform, which is great and wonderful. but you all are chasing the goat. You know, maybe that's a little narcissistic. Maybe I can't call myself the GOAT. Maybe we'll just call myself the OG. Like, and I didn't invent the radio, obviously, but you know, like none of y'all was doing this until everybody was like, well, hey, look, everybody can do it. You know, they gave that idiot a microphone and no one gave it to me. I bought it. Actually, Winchester gave it to me, but that's a whole nother story. Here's the thing. Who were you telling when you knew a month ago? Like, I knew on November 6th, but I had to make sure it was true. And I did, and we put it out. And because we put it out, because we then told everybody else, Ridenour came out today and he announced it. Now, he only announced 50% of it. And that doesn't mean that we were wrong on the other 50%. We are right on that other 50%. Ridenour just didn't want to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But the thing that I'm most mad at myself about is, so I made that long episode last night and a bunch of people watched it as of this morning, as of like noon today, a bunch of people had watched it. But all night last night and all morning this morning, I had made plans to share this picture. Dustin Clark, Prairie Creek supervisor, leaving PCR to become a contract employee at City Hall. And I was going to share this. Steve Selvey, building commissioner, retiring end of 2024. Awesome looking pictures. Got a cool little blue gradient background going there. The awesome seal of the city of Muncie. Got that. I even got this for the shorts. I got this going for Steve. I got this going. I mean, this stuff's really cool looking. It's awesome. Then I go to my grandparents. And now my grandma, if she's still watching this, she's going to think he's taking shots at us. He's blaming me, and I am not blaming Grandma. I am not blaming you, so don't stress about this. I made the intention in my mind that I was going to I posted a narrative, a little quick narrative, and I was going to share both of these pictures on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter. And I was going to share the quick little blurb and the quick short saying, you know, in quick breaking news, the Prairie Creek Reservoir superintendent leaves to become contract employee. Because I knew that Dan, it would either be coming out in a press release or Dan would be mentioning something about it. Because as soon as we mentioned it last night, I knew he would. And I had the post all ready to go. And when I go to my grandparents' house, my grandparents are always worried because I do burn the candle at both ends and in the middle. And instead of burning the candle at both ends in the middle, sometimes I just throw it into the fire. I'm just like, there is no candle. So my grandparents are always worried that I don't sleep enough. So my grandma's always like, sleep, my pretty, you know, like kind of does that. And listen, when I'm at my grandparents' house, that is the best sleep in the world. They've got a back bedroom that I'm there. It's I call it my bedroom now. It's been every other person in our family's bedroom at one point. But when I go there, I call it my bedroom. And it's got these like blackout curtains, and they have this like industrial style fan that you turn on, and it just makes you feel like you're in a freezer. And you put on this cover. It's a real heavy cover. And I'm telling you, I could wake up after a 12-hour sleep, whoever sleeps 12 hours, and I could immediately walk into that room and then sleep for 3 days. There's no clocks. There's no noise, you know? And so I went to sleep and I was like, I'm going to lay down for maybe an hour, 2 hours. And I was like, I'm going to quickly make this post first. I had the post all ready to go, had it all typed out, had everything to go. And the next thing I know, Grandpa's knocking on the door and he's like, hey, it's 4 o'clock. Are you going to sleep some more? You can sleep if you want, but you know, they want me to sleep. I'm like, no, I'm going to get up. Well, when I got up, ladies and gentlemen, and the mayor beat me to it, that dirty bastard. The mayor actually beat me to announcing my. Now, listen, I still beat him. I called it last night, so so it is what it is, and it's not about being first. It's not about that. I just wanted to get that out there so people are aware, because I know how Ridenour tends to spin things. And so I know that he has that capability. And what I didn't want to happen was I didn't want Ridenour to spin something and then, because of the way that things happen, he spins it, then I come out with it and say it, and people are like, well, you just don't like Ridenour because of blah, 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 or whatever. And it's like, no, look, this was the story. Here's what the deal is. Look, he's talking about it. It is what it is. So whatever it is, it is what it is. It's no big deal. It is what it is. Okay. So, at the end of the day, oh God, they've got me. Facebook isn't going to let me. Facebook, you're a jerk. Because I shared some things, they've got me on like I'm suspended or something, apparently, indefinitely for a minute. So I want to show you first. I want to show you this community update from Mayor Dan Ridenour. And this was posted at 3:00. Man, this dude beat me by an hour. Ha! All right, so this is Dan Ridenour at 3:00 today.
Good morning, Muncie. Dan Ridenour here, your mayor. Today is our weekly update. I have a number of things I'm going to touch base with you on. So first of all, if you haven't noticed, across from Muncie Central, there are some stakes that are out now. These are for those 7 townhomes that will be going up. These are market priced homes that will be built, available for sale by a local developer. So there will be 7 townhomes. We have a number of other lots that are available, but that's what they are starting with. So we're really excited about that, and real excited that this area is getting a lot of activity. So also, we did officially close last week on the store lots. Now they're doing this in sections, so they closed on 9 of the properties. They already have their building.
Now, there was a Muncie Redevelopment Commission meeting today, and I'm sure, I am absolutely sure, if this is true, they will probably have absolutely just jumped at the chance to announce this. I have not watched the meeting yet. I have not watched it yet, but I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, if in fact they have closed like they're saying they're closing, like they say they're closing last week, then I'm sure that they mentioned this and mentioned it and mentioned it and mentioned it and mentioned it, probably over and over and over and over again, if this is in fact true. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I just have a feeling that if it actually is in fact true, they probably talked about this on at the Redevelopment Commission meeting today. I would assume. Now, I'm saying it like that if it's true, because hold on a second. I'm saying it like that because if you go to Beacon Schneider, Muncie Redevelopment Commission still owns everything to do with Store Estates. Now, that does not mean anything just yet, because if they closed, in fact, if they closed last week, if they truly closed, it might not be updated in Beacon just yet. So I will send out, I'm not going to send out a record request just yet. I'm going to send an email out tomorrow to Ridenour, because I actually have 2 questions I want to ask. Actually, I have 3 questions I want to ask him directly. Question number 1, I want to ask him about Richard's resignation. I am also going to ask Richard directly. But I also want to ask Dan directly, because from what I heard, I don't know. I think that the denial came from somebody other than the denial of that request came from somebody other than legal, and I'm thinking it maybe even came from Dan. Didn't even know about it. I'm starting to think from things that I'm hearing. I'm hearing that maybe Adam was involved in for some reason denying this. And I got to check into this. So I'm going to ask Dan about that resignation. That's question number 1. Question number 2, I'm going to ask Dan about the contract for Dustin Clark. I'm going to say, hey, provide me with this contract. What's the deal with this contract? Who will be his direct supervisor as a quote-unquote contract employee? And moreover, and more importantly, what will his pay structure be? That's what I'm most concerned about. And then number 3, I'm going to ask him, if you have anything proving that this was closed on, send it to me so I can stop talking about this. Because if you guys have done this, Brand who? Stephen Brand? I would almost absolutely positively say that is not going to happen. And the reason that I would say that that's not going to happen is because he is a retired person, so technically he could take that job. However, I believe that the reason he ran for commissioner was to treat the commissioner's office like a full-time job. And so I'm going to stand by. I'm getting a message right here, right now. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not showing this, am I? Okay, no. Let me get it on my other computer, because I don't want to. This is a source. Stand by. Oh. Sorry, I thought this might have been pertinent to what we were just talking about. It is not, but I just got a tip on something I will check into. If the person who sent me this, if you're watching, thank you for that. I will check up on that. But interesting. Okay. So DC, thank you for that information. I'll check into that. I mean, I'm not saying that you are wrong or your source is wrong. Like, crazier things have been said and heard, and crazier things have happened. Maybe it's true. I've just said, from what I've heard, the fact that Stephen is retired, that from what I've heard, what I believe, Stephen is going to be the Delaware County Commissioner come January 1st. He will also, in my opinion, I believe, and nothing's illegal about this, he will continue sitting on the board for the Muncie Sanitary District, because that they don't overcross in any way, so I don't think there's anything illegal with that. And he is extremely hands-on in that role. And from everything that I know and I've heard about him, he's going to be extremely hands-on in the role of commissioner. And the Prairie Creek superintendent, that person has to be someone that is hands-on. That's the problem with Dustin Clark. Dustin did not like being out there. Dustin liked spending all of his time up with the cool kids on the 3rd floor of City Hall. Dustin wanted to be part of the inner workings and inner circle of the mayor's office, and he wished it, and he wanted it so badly that it became true. He made it true. He was up there, and he was the, he like, literally, seriously, he did everything he could for Mayor Ridenour, and he wanted to, like, let it know, like, hey, you need it done, I'll do it. I'm here. I'm your number one. I'm your number two. I can do it. Whatever anyone else can do, I can do better. I'm here, and I'm there, and I'm here and there, even in my underwear. I will be here. And so he spent more time doing things for the mayor than in paying attention to his actual job at Prairie Creek. And things with Prairie Creek went up and down and up and down. Now, they've got a really good crew out there, and they've gotten better people here recently, and things are going smooth out there. That's got nothing to do with Dustin or Dustin's involvement. Matter of fact, everybody that's involved with Prairie Creek doesn't like Dustin. They're all celebrating. There's people that heard, when we've not even heard it yet, but there's people that heard Ridenour's message today that didn't hear my news last night, and they're celebrating. I've been tagged in posts all day. Have you heard Dustin's leaving? And I'm like, no, he's not. He's leaving one mess and going into an even bigger mess. It's not good. It's horrible. It's bad. I don't believe in giving an idiot a job promotion. And this is a very strange way to look at this, but in my opinion, he's going from a position of importance into a position of more importance. Now, I know he's a contract employee, and I know it's not, but that he don't care, man. As long as he's got money coming in, and he can be, near around Dan, he's golden. So that's the thing. Okay. So I'll check up on that, DC. I appreciate the words. I will look into it. What time is it? It's getting late. I tell you what, I'm just going to ask Braun tomorrow. I'm just going to say, hey, I've heard a rumor. Is there any truth to this? I'll see. I think he'll tell me. I did. This is the sign for the Green Goblin himself, Dustin Clark. See, every time we say, like, look, Jason, Robert, Steve, Dustin Clark. See, every time I say Dustin Clark, it just pops up. I don't know. It's crazy. Dustin Clark. All right. Anyways. So, maybe store will now start to be a thing. Store states, after what's it been? 4 years? 5 years? maybe it's going to actually be a thing. Beacon still doesn't say it, but I understand that if it happened last week, that it still might not show on Beacon. So my questions to Dan tomorrow is, number one, question about Richard's resignation letter. Question number two, question about Dustin's contract deal. Question number three, do you have anything that absolutely definitively proves that they closed on some spaces? Because, my friends, we've heard that they've closed on spaces for at least a year now. And they just keep saying it. Back to you, your Royal Anus.
Permits. They've got the first one is sectioned off. If you're out near Store, where Store Elementary was, you can see that there's the fence around where they're going to build the first one. And then next year they're building several more. So those are a couple of things that are going on.
Wait a minute. A company like D.R. Horton is going to build one house. We're going to build one house now, and then maybe next year a couple more. It still sounds all screwed up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Wait a minute. Are you DC Swamp Drainer? Are you not getting it? I'm flashing it on there when I talk about Dustin. That's what you're going to have to go back and listen to what I said. It's like a joke. It's about Dustin. Somebody's doing it to me. Who's hacked me? All right, oops. Nope, I didn't want to do that. Here's yeah, it was me making fun of Dustin. Yeah, bro, Alva, that's not, yeah, right. It just something sounds so strange to me. Yes, right. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, yeah, we're gonna build one, and man, we'll see what happens next year if we're not busy.
On the housing front, in addition to that, I will say that the city just recently, today, received money from the state for a tax credit program. This will be 38 new homes in the Thomas Park Avondale neighborhood that we submitted last
I'm okay
July.
with that.
And we are one of the 16 that got the award. There were 40 cities and 40 applications were submitted. A very competitive process, and we're real excited about what this will mean for the area. This will be in and around the Thomas Park Avondale neighborhood and on a couple different sites. So we'll announce more of that later, but we just got that award just a matter of 30 minutes ago, and I just wanted to make people aware of it. Also going on right now in the city of Muncie at the Innovation Connector is the Global Entrepreneurship Week program. And by the way, the Muncie, Indiana program ranked the number 5 in the country. It's so extremely high across the country as far as the number of opportunities that are available for entrepreneurs to learn, to gather information, to get guidance and assistance. And all that has been going on this week, all the way through Saturday. Started on Monday, and
I'd like to get a total number on how many entrepreneurs have came through the Innovation Connector and have been crapped out into the world, and how many of those businesses are still going. You know, I'd like to find out what the success rate is there. I'm gonna do some digging on that, because the city of Muncie pays an awful lot of money to the Innovation Connector. And if it's doing really good work and we're like ranking 5th, you would think that we are crapping out all kinds of jobs and, you know, things are going like gangbusters in Muncie. So I think we need to look into that a little bit and find out exactly, you know, what all of this good stuff's about.
If you aren't aware of it, please go on to, you can see about signing up for classes. Many of them are free, and a lot of the workshops. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow your business, or you're someone who has considered starting a business, this would be a great thing to look into. And Muncie was ranked number 5. And we were like this, Dallas, Texas, and a lot of large cities are the only ones ahead of us. So I'm real proud of that. Last thing I want to touch base on is we are continuing to restructure our city.
There we go.
And how it operates based on what the council did with the budget. We submitted a budget that was that there was more than 200,000 left over above what we are spending. That's what our budget was that we submitted. The council still came in and cut.
Maybe you should have went to the council with kind of more of a, hey, we're willing to work with you, and kind of toss ideas back and forth, instead of, hey, we're just going to jam something down your throat at the last minute and, take it. And, maybe this will teach you in the future to go to the council with a little bit more of your hat in your hand and say, hey, kind of like what I promised all the way back when I was a council member, that I would be willing to work with the council, and, let's do that.
Over $600,000 of personnel, of human capital that we would have used to fund various activities. For example, they cut 3 part-time employees on the street department. Personally, I think this has been the best year for streets ever in our community, but 3 are cut for next year. And they also cut 3 full-time employees, which all of those are vital positions, including Deputy Mayor Ivy. We have found him another position with the sanitary district. We've maneuvered some things around to come up with the funding inside the budget. So we're operating within the budget, but we've maneuvered some things around to where we now have our deputy controller's salary covered.
Okay. Interesting. So this is interesting to me. He says that they've maneuvered some things around. They've maneuvered some things around so they could keep the deputy controller, which we knew they would do. I want to know, what did they maneuver around? Paying him out of edit is not maneuvering things around. It's just paying him out of edit. So that's not impressive. So if that's what we're doing, let us know that. If they did maneuver something around to where they are now actually funding him in the line item, how did they do that? Is the council aware? Like, I need to know how they're doing that. Yeah. Where do they over budget money in order to maneuver money to pay him? Because they did talk about it being very close and very tight. So, like, here's the thing. Dan doesn't understand this. And for the life of me, it's like I just can't beat it into his brain. He thinks that communication is coming to the public after the fact and explaining, we did a thing. Where what the public is asking for is the explanation of how you did the thing. I don't care about what you did. I care about how you did it. I can understand what you did after you show me what you did. How you went about doing what you're now telling me that you did. So I'm going to have to be finding out what they maneuvered around. Yeah. I want to know before you do the thing and how you intend to do that thing. I'm not interested in your thing. I'm interested in how you do the thing. All right. That's what I want to know. Okay. But all right. So we talked about the deputy controller. That's Matt Wegley. Good for him. We kept him. I'm thrilled. I just thrilled to pieces. I'm happy. I'm telling you what I would rather them do is I would rather them maneuver Craig Wright out and make him a former employee with the city, and then maneuver Matt Wegley into Craig Wright's position. Honestly, Trace is in the chat. I would rather them do that. And I would honestly rather have, and I know that sounds weird, but I would rather have Matt Wegley in the controller's position, if the truth be told. But okay, so we heard that. So that's one of those positions they messed with. What else did you do, Dan? Okay, so that's two of those positions. Because if you remember, the council unfunded 3 positions. They unfunded the deputy mayor. Okay, so we know what happened there. And the city of Muncie didn't maneuver that. Ivy applied and he got the position. So that's done. So now they've got 2 they need to worry about. The deputy controller and the communications director. They got something maneuvered around. We're going to find out what that is. And now they've taken care of Matt Wegley. And now what's left? Well, that's the communications director. And so maybe we're going to hear him talk about that next. Let's, Dan, take it away.
A couple of the things that you'll hear about is...
a couple of the things that you'll hear about is our
Prairie Creek Reservoir director out there.
You hear, like, he doesn't know what to call him. He doesn't, because they fiddle farted around with what the actual job is with Dustin, and he knows that Dustin doesn't actually do shit for Prairie Creek. He does all this other internal stuff, so he doesn't even know what Dustin is. So he's like, there's, he's telling us about these things. Then he's like, there's these other things that you'll hear about. The Prairie Creek, the Prairie Creek
director out there, Dustin Clark, has resigned, so he will no longer be an employee.
Dustin Clark has resigned. He'll no longer be an employee. Now, what's interesting is there is the fact that nothing that we're currently talking about had anything to do with the Prairie Creek director. Dustin Clark has nothing to do with anything. His position wasn't cut, and it's not like he leaves so they can take his Prairie Creek money and now give it to like Amber or give it to Wegley. It's still got to stay at the Prairie Creek. So him leaving the Prairie Creek has nothing to do with the maneuvering of money. Okay? So he left. Let's hear what happens after he leaves out there as an employee.
As of this Friday.
Oh, he's doing it this Friday as we broke here last night.
And our building commissioner.
Oh, wait. Well, that's it? Nothing more about Steve? Nothing else about Dustin Clark? That's weird. All right, we'll come back to that. So now he's moved on to our building commissioner. Our building commissioner, Steve Selby.
Steve Selby is going to retire as of December 31st. So he'll be
at the end of this year. He's retiring. Okay, we talked about that last night.
Here to the end of the year.
Him retiring, that again, they didn't cut the building commissioner's pay. It has nothing to do with the building commissioner's pay. So that's got nothing to do with anything.
And then we're restructuring both the Parks Department and some other departments to come up with the funding. We've got 2 of those 3 full-time positions now covered. Again, I don't understand. We can't.
2 of what 3 full-time positions? What's he talking about? wait a minute. So we've got 3 full-time positions that they unfunded. The deputy mayor spot, the communications director spot, and the deputy controller spot. He said they got 2 of those 3 positions covered. Now, they've also, from what we're hearing, Dustin is leaving Prairie Creek supervisor. So now they've got that spot that's uncovered. And he talked about the building commissioner, and now that's uncovered. So technically, you've got now 5 positions uncovered. Now, Matt Wegley's going to stay in the deputy controller, so nothing's done there. So now you've only got 4 positions that you've got to cover. From everything I'm hearing, Amber's going to remain in the communications director position, so we can through edit or whatever, so we can take that away. So now we've got 3 positions. We've got a deputy mayor position. We've got the building commissioner position and the Prairie Creek position. Well, Richard left the deputy mayor's position. We don't need a deputy mayor. And so it's not like that's even got to be filled. It's just not filled. So we'll put this one off to the side real quick. Now we've got building commissioner and the Prairie Creeks. Then he throws in some kind of a weird thing where we're reorganizing the parks. Well, you could reorganize the parks in such a way that someone from the parks department would be over Prairie Creek, which you could do that. And then because what this does is this now creates a position where Dan has to do what he's conflating 2 things. He's mixing things up. He's talking about these people leaving these positions and acting like it's got something to do with the 3 things that were unfunded by the council, and they don't. It's got nothing to do with the deputy mayor's position, communications director position, or the deputy controller position. And the deputy controller position, he said, was already taken care of. We need to find out how, but it is already taken care of. So that's out of the question. Richard Ivey left, so we don't need to find a spot for him. So, what? Now, the reason I'm asking that is because what I'm being told is that Dustin Clark is that he quit the Prairie Creek position so that he could be this contract employee, which Dan hasn't mentioned yet. Okay. Dan has not mentioned this. And what we're hearing is that Dustin's going to be this deputy mayor position as a contract employee, which is just absolutely laughable. Why he just is unwilling to be honest is Dan's problem. We are hearing this community update goes on for 5 minutes. And for the first 2.5 minutes, he told us some factual information. The last 3 minutes of this is all bullshit. It's Dan talking in circles, trying not to say too much, trying not to step on his own, getting his own way. And it's ridiculous. So let's let Dan continue on here.
Came in, and there was more money. There was $268,000 above what we were spending in our budget. After the council, we have $898,000.
He's still whining about this
of unspent that's available to be spent, but it's not authorized by the council. So we're going to operate within what they gave us. We're not thrilled about that. We had services that we were wanting to provide, and we will continue to figure out ways to do it as we maneuver some of those funds around to make it all work within the $50 million, roughly $50 million total budget. So that's the update for today, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
So, look, I don't know. I mean, to me, I feel like he didn't say anything there. I just don't think that, I don't know. I don't think it was very important. I don't think anything of value was said. I don't think that I don't know. I just don't think that he told us anything that amounts to anything in any way. You know, that's what's so frustrating about him. He never will just freaking talk. It's always around in circles. No matter what the deal is, he's always just talking in circles. And it's never about anything of actual value. And it always makes him seem like he's a little off. And it makes it seem like what he's saying is just a little shouldn't be believed. You know, he's got such a problem with the actual freaking truth. It's so frustrating. And I don't know. So, all right. From there, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the stuff at the state level, I do want to play you a little bit, a clip of this redevelopment commission meeting that took place. And I want you guys to be able to hear what goes on with this Muncie redevelopment commission meeting. And we're only going to hit the highlights here. It was 46 minutes, so we're not going to listen to all of it. You can find this on the City of Muncie. Go to YouTube and look for the City of Muncie, and you can find this and listen to it. I think you should listen to all of it. It's important, but we're just going to hit the highlights. So we'll go ahead and get into this.
President for my child. Okay. We will go ahead and call to order the November 21st, 2024 Muncie Redevelopment Commission meeting. And we will start with roll call. Mr. Bishop is not here today. Mr. Dale?
Present.
Mr. Miller, I am here. Mr. Probilla?
Here.
Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
And Mr. Lowe is in the audience today. Thank you. Our agenda is presented to you all. I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve or any discussion if items need added.
So move.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Probilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we will go ahead with the approval of the previous meeting memoranda. We do have two of those, one from our October meeting and one from our special meeting in November. I would entertain a motion to pass both at the same time or fail both at the same time so we can keep moving.
I would suggest we just briefly talk for a moment before we do that.
As always.
On the memoranda for the special meeting, we typically will note who may have voted to the contrary. And we didn't do that here in this. And I would move that we accept the special meeting memoranda with the notation that Isaac Miller voted no on the final motion.
Okay.
We typically do that. I mean, every time I vote no on something, it's noted that I vote no. So, and I've gone through other meeting memoranda. We typically always do that. So
That's fine by me.
so I would move that.
That's your motion that we
Yep.
pass both at the same, both.
No, I would vote for one at a time and do that one first.
Okay.
That's
We do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Okay.
Whoa!
Any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Dale?
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Probilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa, whoa. Sound the alarm. One of Andrew Dale's motions to make the minutes or memoranda, whatever nonsense they want to call it, make it legitimate, transparent, accountable. Holy shit. See how easy that is to have common sense and just do the right thing. Holy crap.
Go ahead then. Also, if I could have a motion regarding the October meeting minutes. If there's any other thoughts on those.
I won't be voting in favor because of several informative discussions that were had that are not included, but I'll be respectful in my no.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Dale?
No.
Mr. Miller?
The one thing I hate about this is, and I know Andrew Dale from oftentimes will watch this, and there's people that connect with him and talk with him and watch this. I love, there's things that Andrew and I agree on, and there's things that we disagree on, like everybody else out in the world. We come from different political sides of the spectrum. That's going to happen. But I will always champion him and applaud him as a person that is fighting to make sure that meetings are transparent and the public knows what's going on, and that 50 years after these people are dead and gone, not even talking on the board, say they all each live for another 100 years. 50 years after that, if somebody wants to dig up and look through these records, they should be able to have a clear understanding of what went on during this meeting. And oftentimes they don't, because of what goes on through what I call gatekeeping the information, because they don't, want to put out any, kind of opposition to any of their information. And I don't like that. And Andrew fights for that. Now, the one bit of thing I will say is they're kind of beating him down. He's been on this board now for 11 months. And for 11 months, they've got to this point, and he's went through each of the reasons and things of why he's voting no. And I get it. At this point, he feels like he's beating a dead horse and they're not going to go along with him. And he's like, I'm just going to say no. I'm going to tell you why I'm saying no, and I'm going to be respectful about it. There's nothing that he does that's not respectful, but I would challenge him. Don't make it easy on them. Go through each and every one of the issues. Take time to do it. Waste their beautiful, precious time and make sure that the shit is on the record. Because and I get it. I'm going to say something stupid here. What they're going to do is they're not going to put this stuff in the minutes. So then he brings it up in this meeting and he puts it on the record in this meeting, and they're not going to put it in the notes of this meeting, but it's going to be on the recording. And so what it does is it gives it a chance for his points to be on two meetings. The meeting where it actually happened, and then the second meeting when he's going down and saying, well, this and this and this and this. And so I get the idea of being like, well, I'm not going to beat the dead horse, but you have to, Andrew. You have to. There's people out here that are applauding you each and every time you do this. Make it uncomfortable for them. Allow them to sit there in their uncomfortableness and go through it, because that's what the people want you to do. That's what you're there tasked with, is to make sure that this is accountable and done right. And I applaud your effort, sir. So just continue on with it, and don't make it easy for them, because that's what they're hoping. They're hoping to just beat you down to where eventually, and I know that you won't ever just stop, but I would task you with going into it like you normally do.
Yes, Mr. Pravilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So all those pass. And then, sorry, I'm taking notes here. We'll move on to Mr. Wright with the claims today, please.
How much is this going to be?
Good morning.
Good morning, Craig.
I sent out the claims yesterday morning, actually, before I took the rest of the day off. But just wanted to open it up to see if there's any questions anybody might have.
I've got a few.
Go ahead.
And Craig, you may not be the one to answer these. But the first one I have is on Indiana Title Insurance, earnest money for 216-220 West Washington. And
not being part of the record, that is a no-go. That is not good. And I apologize. I think you called me today and I was dealing with something. If you call me tomorrow, I will absolutely be available. Call me and I'll talk with you. But no, that is not good. Public opinion, if happening during a meeting, needs to be a part of the record. No questions. It has to be. I've known other boards and other councils that have tried that crap. Winchester used to do it. Some people go back and forth on whether or not to do it. And that's no good.
220 North Franklin. Had we voted on that before, or why is this on here? I understand, I think, why it's on here, because it's looking to purchase some property, but I'm trying to understand what invoked this.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the first page, Indiana Title Insurance, earnest money of $5,000 for 3 properties, 216, 220 West Washington,
Franklin.
and then the other one at 220 North Franklin. And I'm just trying to understand if that was action taken previous before maybe I came back on the board, or
we had to, and I'm going to cover part of this in my report on the agenda a bit. We have development that will be supported through the READY grant, and we have to get commitments from the developers. Well, we have to secure parking or the development won't work. So the mayor acted to secure the parking, or to at least get a bookmark in there for the parking if we need to, or otherwise the developer will not provide their commitment. If they don't provide their commitment, then we can't secure the grant fund.
sure. So is this done under the auspices of the 10,000 or less spending allowance, or how? I'm just curious.
But yeah, I think that's where it would.
Okay.
That's where it would land.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just go on record my concern with that, because I wasn't in favor of the spending plan. But and then, Craig, I noticed that we've got $1,930 some odd dollars still for the Muncie YMCA, and since we closed on the property on July 11th, we've paid $7,700 and change on utilities for that property. And I'm just curious, are we going to continue to see these? Because last time you said you didn't think so.
Yeah, they're winding down. I mean, you may still have a few late that comes in, but that should clear itself out.
Because these are just monthly. I mean, it's not like we've missed them. It's like they just come in batches and per month. So what does, I mean, I'm going to ask later, but what the EDA stance says, the Economic Development Agreement says on this, but are we still paying all of these things? Because we've been paying them beyond the sale. So I have a concern with that.
I'll follow up on it and get back with you.
Okay. I noticed that we've got E&B paving for just a bit shy of $190,000.
Yeah. Hey, I got something to tell you, Space Cat. Quit paying your 8-year. I don't know if you got paying. Quit paying your electric bill. Quit paying your cell phone bill. Quit paying your car insurance. It'll clear itself out. It'll clear itself right out. Just don't worry about it. It'll clear itself out. See how that goes for you. Craig acts like did he just wake up from a nap? Did he just burn one in the parking lot? Like, what is the deal? Who is getting a question about a monthly utility and says, hey, it'll clear itself out? What is he speaking about? What will clear itself out? Nobody talks like that. What does that mean?
What that was for?
That's for on Burlington Parkway or Burlington paving. And that was also in conjunction with the community crossing out of 218 and also out of the 758 bond, MRC bond.
So that was previously approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was actually monies that were dedicated for the point, the park out here.
Yes.
And the bids came in lower than expected, so
They're reallocated.
moved it over to pay.
Okay. Yeah. The only thing else I noticed was Otis Elevator. Are they just late in their billings or what? Because some of these are 2022 and one of them is 2022.
Well,
Another's
obviously
23.
Otis is fun, correct, James? Otis Elevator, we're It's a long story with them. I know Richard's been in the process of trying to get things worked out with them on that because their contracts are so convoluted, and
Sure.
we're trying to push through it.
So those were surprises. I was just okay. Well, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the claims today or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding the claims.
So moved.
I was just talking to somebody about that. Someone knew about that the other day that did not know or did not believe what I was saying about that with the city engineer, contract employee / whatever the deal is, whatever the hell he is. And they were like, no, that's what you're saying is not true. And I was like, hey, all I know is someone out there in the world, it's all over the city of Muncie. All sorts of employees pass around these weird pictures of him in all these weird compromising situations. I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying I've seen them, and I directed this person how to find them. And that person lost it, just said there is no, I just couldn't believe it. So that's funny that you just said that because, that's a very good possibility. And of course, we were laughing and I was laughing and talking to Kate, made a great find here that Craig talked about how the Otis contracts were so convoluted. So I don't know what's going on. He is the most uninvolved, unserious, unintelligent controller that just has he cannot answer a damn question. Nothing. He confuses his OnlyFans and his Facebook. Yeah. I cannot forget the scene of him pulling up his zipper when he spoke to the Board of Works this year. Oh, God, that's amazing.
Motion on the floor and second by Ms. Wagley. Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Burbilla?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagley?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we will move on to the report from the city from Mr. Howe.
All right, this is where we're going to start speeding along here because this is just a snooze fest, honestly, quite frequently.
Thanks.
Okay. Financials. So you see on the
Are you reading the comment?
financial,
Read the comment.
What? What did you say? Adam posts. Adam posts on his Only Dan's page. Yeah, and the rest of Dan's administrators are free to post as well. That's hilarious. That's funny. Yeah. Well, that's a good question there too, Karen O. Who writes the convoluted contracts? The majority of the time, it's nonsense going on between the mayor and whoever he's dealing with. Now, for those that don't know, Otis is an elevator company that does they have like 98% of all elevators, at least in North America, probably outside of North America. Like if you get in an elevator and it's not an Otis, you should take the stairs. That's the whole big thing that used to be on the Bob and Tom show and everything. But if it's not an Otis, I'm not riding, whatever. Anyways, so I can't imagine their contracts would be crazy. I mean, you want to talk about some convoluted contracts. You look at the nonsense that Dan's tried to get involved in. There is some convoluted nonsense contracts.
So the TIFs, the markets on Madison allocation, the White River Lofts, Still Pond, and the parks totaled $2.4 million, almost a little over $2.4 million. Consolidated TIF, 331 other funds of 461,000, almost 462. Total project total projected revenue after debt 427, and brings our consolidated TIF estimated balance at the end of the year at just over $2.1 million.
Jeff, can I just ask, do you have any updates today? And you may not, and that's fine, regarding use of the TIF funds? That's just a rather large amount that we've been sitting on for a while. I know we've had some discussions about what we could use that for. If you don't have an update, it's okay, but I just thought I'd see if there's anything you can share yet.
I don't have a specific, but we are going to talk about some of that probably will be used probably in the next year.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any real specifics at this point.
Thank you.
So then I have an update on the for the record here on the presentation for the special meeting action. So in 2015, Hillcroft Services entered into an economic development agreement with the city of Muncie, which included 3 main conditions. Well, Hillcroft successfully completed 2, and that was the purchase and renovation of the building, expansion of the building. They were unable to meet the 3rd condition, which was the workforce. It was a creation of 100 new full-time jobs by December 31st of 2004. So despite not being the job creation, Hillcroft did increase their payroll, but did not create new jobs. And suffice it to say, created no new jobs. However, due to the unforeseen circumstances, COVID-19, and some resulting changes in the state's funding criteria and funding of certain programs, the commission agreed to accept Hillcroft's offer to resolve the matter. The offer was sufficient to cover the penalty for the first year of noncompliance in consideration for setting aside the job creation portion of the agreement. And I think the decision was made that if the job creation of the agreement made the agreement moot, then we would set aside the agreement then going forward. So we were able to recover a good portion of the taxpayer investment. We actually probably ended up recovering what we would have gotten in the city's share of the payroll taxes that would have occurred on those jobs anyway. So so the board approved it, as Andrew stated earlier, 4-1, and we have prepared that agreement, which you should have. I think, correct me if I mistake this, but for the most part, we have an agreement that sets aside the whole EDA, because at that point the EDA doesn't have anything existing or continuing in it. So so we have approved the action. I think I'd leave it to you whether you need to approve authorizing the signature of it. The mayor has agreed to the terms that the city or that the MRC agreed to. So he will sign that agreement as well, and then we'll present it to them to conclude the matter.
Just to clarify, the purpose of that agreement, and it states in there, is upon signature and then upon payment of the sums set forth in there.
Good. All right, let's go on.
They really need to keep the building, because by the time they replace the building, it would have a financial impact on them that would challenge them to continue.
Okay.
We have identified a possible tenant for part of that building. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but
Wait, where?
The board decided that they really need to keep the building, because by the time they replace the building, it would have a financial impact on them that
all that there would be the reparations up into the 2.2 million, that 800,000 gap that exists. Was there ever discussion about that?
There was. In fact, we actually talked about whether we might be able to find a buyer for the building, but they have the board decided that they really need to keep the building, because by the time they replace the building, it would have a financial impact on them that would challenge them to continue.
Okay.
We have identified a possible tenant for part of that building. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but I just don't think long term. Like I said, we had talked to them about a couple of different scenarios, but I don't think they felt like it would work long term for them.
Well, I stated in the special meeting, and I'll state it now. I really appreciate your taking care of this. Once it got onto your plate, you took care of it, and I just want to thank you for that.
Sure.
Hillcroft's a vital organization in the community.
So Mr. Freeman, since they've agreed to the terms, do they need to take action to approve the signature of the agreement? Describing as maybe a real strong lean forward on some projects that we submitted. The projects that we submitted do require commitments from the developers to do their part. And so we have those commitments are total about I think it's around $34 million, call it approximately $30 million. We do have 2 of those signed commitment letters back. We still have 1. Now, the reason we don't have it is because the grant request, we did not get what we asked for. So they're reworking the numbers, but it would be related to development downtown. And therefore, but the other thing they need to be able to do the commitment is to know they have adequate parking for the project that they're doing. And that's where trying to get a bookmark on parking came in, because we need to get the commitment signed. So it became kind of because we have to send the commitment letters back to the ready folks. And so we're trying to get them comfortable so they can sign the commitment so we can get it to where it needs to be.
Okay.
So we're still waiting for about $10 million commitment letter back. These commitments combined with the Ready 2 funds I'm
interested in what that would
we
be.
just feel like we're on the cusp of being able to announce those things. I guess we kind of are a little bit, but like I said, we've got 2 out of the 3 commitments back. And like I said, the 3rd one really was dependent upon them having enough parking available to be able to do what they need to do. So we acted to get something in place to do that. So that's what I have on that.
Having enough parking.
I don't have any news in the way of other developments. We think that in fact, I thought it was going to start this week. I don't know if the weather has held it up, but construction here across the street on the point was supposed to start this week. So hopefully we'll see that happen soon. And then I think Columbus Avenue is going to start here pretty soon as well. And the mayor and I had a couple-hour tour on Tuesday with some developers and looked at some property, 3 properties downtown, one up, which maybe still downtown as well, some properties in the McKinley area, some projects on the Old West End, and then some projects up just north of campus. So they've got some projects going. They have interest in other projects, so we're hopeful. And then I think I mentioned to you at the last meeting that I hope to have our feasibility study back on the hotel. It is not back yet. So I'm probably trying to follow up on that this afternoon. The interviews that had to take place, it's going to call, I think I gave him like maybe 15 different names and phone numbers to contact. He and I talked about some possible sites late last week. So I thought there's not a lot of direction about this. So we've asked Bob to look at it and help us meet the requirements. He's prepared, I think our last meeting to talk about this was 7:30 this morning. And so he has that for you. And I will hand this to you as he's coming up here.
He's got them. Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know where they went.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
So in 2023, the legislature passed a law that required all redevelopment commissions across the state to file a spending plan by December 1st of every year, and this being the first year that is required. They put on the responsibility to DLGF to determine how that spending plan was supposed to be filed with them. And gosh, it must have been in August of this year, they put out a memo that said, here's how you file your plan. You can upload it to Gateway in this portal, and that was it. And so we asked, is there a template? Is there specific information you need? And the response was, no, we were just tasked with telling you how to file it. So there was really no guidance from either the state legislature or from DLGF on what needed to be done. We worked with a local law firm, Barnes and Thornburg, who does a lot of bond counsel work around the state. And they came up with a template that redevelopment commissions can use to hopefully meet the requirements of the spending plan. And that's what you have here is the template, which really outlines probably everything that a redevelopment commission can spend either their tax increment dollars on, or if you have non-TIF related funds, what you can spend those on. There's not a requirement that you look at this by allocation area. So you have multiple allocation areas, but they're all grouped together, at least for the spending plan. And there's no requirement to add detail. So you don't have, well, we think there's no requirement to do it by detail. So it's not project related. It's just grouped. And what you'll see here is we looked at probably 3 main categories: debt payments, which we can calculate fairly easily, capital projects, pay-as-you-go type projects, and then professional services. So what we tried to do as quickly as we could is look back at prior years' expenditures to kind of get a sense of how much you spend in capital versus professional services. And
I'm happy with this.
That was coming in for next year.
And it's holding them accountable, keeping them accountable, and putting them out in the beginning and saying, this is what we're planning on spending. This is what we want to do. That way, you know, if we get into a situation where in the middle of the year, they're going to add something to this, that it's not just like something that they can go do. They've actually got to come back before the board and be like, hey, this is what, you know, so that I think this is a good thing.
Don't lose any authority to do anything. You don't lose TIF dollars. Again, though, as this happens this year and we get into 25, there may be some adjustments made to it, or they may do away with it altogether. But that's what the spending plan is. If you approve it, and which is a whole nother thing. It's some people think it doesn't have to be approved; it just has to be filed. But we've taken the approach. We want at least get you familiar with it, have you look at it, approve it. If you approve it today, I'll go back and put it on DLGF's website through their portal, and you'll be on the good list for next year.
It's the worst. It's the worst in government, in my opinion, to put something out that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they showed up and said, how can we help you? And nobody asked them for help. It's unfortunate, but I appreciate the instrument you developed. Tom Pittman, I think.
Oh, yeah,
was a part of
absolutely.
this,
Yeah,
he's
favorite Tom.
a colleague of yours, so to speak.
And probably what we'll do during the year, more than we've done in the past, is, at least from my standpoint, is kind of maybe take quarterly looks at where you're spending.
Wait a minute. So now, all right, so Andrew's saying he doesn't like this. That is really interesting. I don't. Yeah, Tweety Bird. Well, all right. So because I've been off screen here for 1 second. So let me come back in here and see what we've got going on here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Number 1, number 2, most important. Oh, it's all the same thing. Number 1, Kate says the county commissioners run a close second on the convoluted contracts, and that That is the truth. They might even be worse. I agree. They might be number one. Number two, Tweety Bird says they never have answers about Southway Plaza either. Dude, listen, I am right there with you, Tweety Bird. I'm telling you, we will never hear the administration mention it again in long form speak, other than they might be like what he said there, the market's on Madison. So we call it Southway Plaza because that's what it's called. They've changed the name to Markets on Madison because that's what it was going to be. And so they say that the Markets on Madison, and, you know, they try to do that so that it flies under the radar. They are never going to bring it up in a way unless something big comes in and they can sell it and turn it. We're never going to hear anything. The only reason we're going to ever hear about this ever again is if citizens get up and ask about it. If I go to one of these meetings, Charlize goes to a meeting, Jackie goes to a meeting, if citizens ask questions, and or if you get a council member that asks about it, or you get like Andrew Dale asks about it. Other than that, Jeff doesn't want to talk about it. Dan doesn't want to talk about it. They're not going to talk about it again. So I'm pissy about that. That's gross. It's absolutely great. Crazy. Kate says we need to start counting how many this dude says. Yeah, it is nuts. Karen says Otis is in Scotland, Isle of Man. Absolutely. That's great. I figured that they would be elsewhere. Jackie says controller right. He can't / unable to share information, or is it he won't share? Ding, 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 ding. Those are both very, very big. I mean, I agree. And it's one and or both of those. And I think sometimes it's a little both. Tweety Bird says, will we be seeing Mr. Wright next year? And from everything unless a miracle happens and he leaves or whatever, everything is pointing to, yes, we will be seeing him. Of course, he is a Mayor Dan appointee. So like everybody else, he's either there until a new mayor comes in, or they fire him for some reason, or he moves on. Like, you know, it's not like a year-to-year thing or whatever. He's there, and so unfortunately, yeah, I think he will be there. Yes, Dale loves to watch him squirm. I think that's true. And so, how do you confirm there's adequate parking when we don't have adequate parking? That's true. Now, I've got to say, I hear a lot of Muncie folk talking about the parking uptown. I feel like I spend a lot of time up there, and I have never, I mean, keep in mind, for 4.5 years, when I went to the prosecutor's office, I parked there every day. I have never in my entire life ever had a problem parking in downtown Muncie. Maybe, you know, the good Lord was looking out for me. You know, maybe it was lovely Rita Meter Maid was helping me out, or I don't know. I've never had a problem. I know everybody loves to gripe about the parking in Muncie. I'm not saying any of you are wrong. I just somehow have known where all the hidey holes are or something, and have been lucky that way. That being said, you know, if you've got some massive deal where you've got 30 people that you're bringing to a job site, yeah, I could see that being a problem. And I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what they're talking about, quote unquote, having committed spots and where that's going to be. That's going to be very interesting. I'm the problem everybody else had. That's right. That's exactly right. So what's interesting about this thing that now getting back, and we're going to get back to this, but the interesting thing here about what they're talking about, I thought Andrew Dale was pushing for this. I thought that he was I think I'm misunderstanding. I think what he was wanting to be involved in the creation of this. And they just said, no, we're going to put something together. And I think that's what he doesn't like, because now they're saying like, well, we don't know if you guys have to approve it or we just put something out. And I think that's what I'll have to ask him. So I'll take back my statement on this for just a second, and I will reach out to Andrew and I'll ask him more about this, and we'll talk about this in the next week. But we'll find out the old jail. They can't really be using the old jail parking because, oh, man, I don't know. Does the city still? Oh, I'm talking to Kate. She's not even there, because the city has some spots there for parking, but I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do there.
In your money. So if we think you need to update something or amend it, we'll come back and ask you to do that. But otherwise, we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming in, Mr. Swins, and explaining it all to us at least. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Dell's sentiments. It's just another step, another cog in the machine of bureaucracy. You know,
it's onerous because there's no purpose for it. At least
no reason.
I do have a question. And our legal counsel has stated this, and I believe Ben's right. Council this needs simply to be presented to DLGF and our own city council by December 1st.
Correct.
It's not that they're going to take, our council doesn't take any action on this. It's just they receive the document.
That's the approach we're taking. Just make sure it goes to the council and you've met the requirement.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Howard, you wanting us to take action to approve this template today?
And then we'll give this to the council.
Good.
That one
Right.
council
I would entertain a
shot,
motion.
that one,
Presented.
this camera shot, they need to, this camera's going out or something. They need to fix this because this is making me feel like I'm drunk. It give me a headache.
Good
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mr. Howe, you've got an easement approval for us to take action on today.
All right.
Look
Easement
at,
improvement. I don't care about that.
This is the MRC property that exists on 8th Street.
Yeah.
This is where they need to have access.
3,005.
Yep.
I think I would prefer that you just sign it.
It needs to be you.
Oh, it has to be.
This is a conveyance of land. It needs to be the president.
That's
Oh, it does? Okay.
That's fine. Any further discussion, or I can entertain a motion?
I'd make a motion that we grant this easement and that we provide the proper signatories to affix their signature to make it whole.
Okay. Second. All right. Motion by Mr. Dale, second by Mr. Pabilla. Mr. Dale.
Yep.
Mr. Miller, yes. Mr. Pabilla.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Why didn't he want to sign?
And
That's
you
so
have a
weird.
property
He's
purchase
so
application.
worried.
I do not. We got an application. I received an application at the end of last week, but had not had an opportunity to look to see if it meets the criteria that we have to live by. So we will.
With 4 pass-through agreements, trying to acquire property for some nonprofits. We got 2 of those. So we'll initiate that.
Muncie Land Bank stuff.
Nurse
That's
for
pretty
properties.
normal. Go back and watch that.
Report from the Baldwin
That's all
Foundation on
pretty
that.
big. But
Making sure
we'll
that
just
we
get through that.
remedy for us to approach those folks and offer again, can we help with anything?
Yeah.
Muncie now, whether that's a group of lots or
Yeah.
individual lots. And so I send them to you if we don't have the properties that,
Yeah.
that they're interested in. And so I could see that the tax sale would be up. There'd be more interest.
Girl.
Just because it's daily that
Yeah.
people are looking to buy properties here in Muncie.
Yeah, Muncie's on the map, and it could be because there's a lot of property maybe cheap, but there also seems to be a feeling that maybe things are turning and people are seeing that. So that's we're hopeful that that's the case. Yeah.
Anything else from Mr. Howard before we close out today? No? Okay. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We will move into public comment. If anybody signed up, get 2 minutes each for public comment. Anybody today? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioners, do you have any comments today you'd like to share?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Wagner, please. Fire away.
Just wanted to remind everyone, 2 years ago, was it, that we purchased the Christmas decorations for downtown, the lights and all that. So Light Up Downtown is December 5th, starts at 5 p.m. I think it goes till 8. Lots of activities downtown. Then they'll light the big tree and all the other trees that we paid for the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that we do here at MRC. So.
Yeah. I have one thing, and I brought it up several times, but is there any way that the community can receive an update, especially people that are vested in the south side of town, about the disposition of Southway Plaza? Because it's just been a long time, and you hear it from time to time. It just seems like after so much fanfare about that and so many hopes going up about it, it would be nice to be able to state factually what's going on with Southway Plaza. It seems like the public deserves that, given how fast we ran towards that. And if it's not going to happen, or if it's in limbo, I just think it's fair for people to know.
I don't know what the company's doing at this point. What our position has been is we're not putting our money in until they do. And so we have it allocated there because at some point there was an agreement that we would do that, but we've taken a pretty firm stance that, we're not investing any money until they do.
Mhm.
But why they haven't yet, I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
But we haven't had any place else to really allocate it to, so it's just stayed in that bucket, but it's not being spent, it's not being used, and will not be invested until they invest what they said they would. And I think it's, I think it's industry dynamics that affect what they're doing, but I don't know specifically what that is and what that means for them.
Yeah.
And we've taken the stance as a commission that if the right opportunity came about to where we could use those funds towards something else that is productive and is producing our community, I think that would be a favorable thing that we obviously would have to take action on it as a commission. So I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know my opinion.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
we didn't want to do the project. But
Right.
We're going to capture some of that money
Mhm.
to reallocate it forward.
Yeah.
What we'll do if another project comes up that we are comfortable with, we'll reallocate that money.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
It is, big and small, their money has to go in first.
Yeah.
Well, this was a private sale to a private buyer.
Correct.
We only came in and said that we would assist with the gateway parking appearance there if they committed. So as far as MRC being part of the project, we don't until they have
Yeah, that's been a little bit of
done what they
misconception.
said.
It's not an MRC
No, it's not an
project.
MRC
They said we put
project.
investment in. They did what they were going to do. We put an investment in because of the gateway into the community, but they haven't, and we haven't, and I don't think we think it makes sense. I mean, that fact doesn't change. It's still a gateway in the community, but we don't want to put the money into it until they've done what they're going to do. But
Right.
like I say, most of the details about the sale and all those things, we're not privy to. We don't have, and I don't, and I haven't had any communication with them. Yeah. So it's available money if there's a more productive place to allocate it.
Well, thank you. I'd suggest we pursue that then, first of the year, figure out a better way to do it, because it doesn't appear it's going anywhere. Thank you.
Mr. Bill, anything for you? No. Okay. All right. With nothing else.
My thoughts and prayers going out to Shreen Wigley for whatever the hell apparently she's got going on there. I don't know. It's not good. All right. They're the ones that tore the parking lot up. The city of Muncie tore the parking lot up. That happened, and that was so stupid. It's just a part of Dan doing things before having an understanding about what's truly going on. The city of Muncie tore that parking up. The city of Muncie did that. That was a city of Muncie shit job that they did. I have no idea why they did it. Stupid what they did. It made it an absolute joke. It's a mess. It's nonsensical. It looks stupid now. It's always going to be stupid. It's just wasted time, effort, money, and nonsensical bullshit. So, you tell me. I don't know. I will never be able to understand why the hell they did what they did there. That was so ludicrous.
But speaking of wasted time, money, and nonsensical bullshit, don't you have some stuff about the governor to tell us?
Stuff about the government.
The governor.
Oh, was that like an amazing that was like an amazing segue? Yeah, I do.
It was.
We do.
Amazing
Yeah.
segue.
Yeah, we do. And this is just
well done, Stumblefoot. So thank you.
Oh, did he say that? Yes, wasted time and money. Absolutely. Okay, good. Yeah. So, at least the water drains. That's true. It could be a swimming pit, swimming park on the south side of town. Yeah. So, before we end the show, I do want to talk about the newest press release that came out this morning from the governor-elect's transition team. A pretty big letter, a pretty big deal, really, honestly. I mean, to be told, the state of Indiana, the chief executive's office, the governor, doesn't run, or rather hasn't ran like a lot of other governor's office, or moreover, it hasn't ran like the president's office, because when you break the breakdown of government, the governor's office is like the president, and mayors are like the governor. You understand what I'm saying there. But ours has not been like that. And what do I mean? I mean that we haven't had like a cabinet styled government. Okay. Well, the governor elect today announced that the executive branch will be reorganized for efficiency, accountability, and, you said it, communication. And the press release goes, I'm trying to do this to where you guys can see it. Oh, I know what I can do. I've got it right like this. Look, This was genius. You'll be able to see it just like this. This is perfect. You guys will be able to read it nice and neat. I've already posted this up on X and on Facebook. So for those of you that follow me on X and on Facebook, you've already seen this document. And for those of you that haven't seen it, you can go check it out there. However, I am going to show this to you here. And give me 1 second. I'll make it to where you can read it. Oops, that's probably too big. Yeah, it's too big because I can't even see it. Hold on, we've got the dreaded ball of death going on, locking us out of everywhere. Okay, here right, there we go. Okay, so can you guys see that? You guys can see that right here. All right. So for immediate release, today, Governor-elect Mike Braun announces his plans for a major restructuring of Indiana's executive branch, implementing a new cabinet model to drive efficiency, accountability, and communication in state government. The cabinet will consist of the governor, the chief of staff, the lieutenant governor, the superintendent of state police, the adjunct general of the Indiana National Guard, and the secretaries over 8 policy areas. Governor-elect Braun will elevate an agency head from each of the 8 policy areas to serve as cabinet secretary, where they will oversee the entire vertical, which you will see what I'm talking about here in a minute, along with retaining the responsibility of running their agency. Key elements of the new cabinet structure include clustering related agencies into 8 separate verticals, such as commerce, health, family services, and education, empowering each cabinet secretary to drive progress within their vertical, holding cabinet members directly responsible for agency performance and continuous improvement, enabling the cabinet to collaboratively implement cross-government initiatives, and assembling a lean, agile senior management team within the governor's office to execute the administration's priorities. Now, there are pros and cons to this. I'm going to pull off of his presser for a minute to say there are things about this that I like, and there are things about this that I don't like. Number one, the things that I like are we're now going to have someone to blame at the top of the shit pile when something goes wrong in one of the verticals somewhere down the line. That's a pro. That's good. I like that. The con is, again, Braun's kind of like, he's talking about this being a streamlined, form of government. Seems like he just keeps adding more and more people to the mix. More and more people who aren't elected. So they're there and they're appointed by the governor, by this governor. Who knows if another governor will have these people or people like that in their position. So you just get more kind of bureaucrats that are in here. And while, yes, as public servants, they're there to answer to us, they don't answer to us. We can't get rid. The only way we can get rid of the secretary of one of these people is by booting the governor out. So there are pros and cons to it. Okay. Just about like anything. I like the idea. I just want to know. And the most important thing is, and Braun is going to have to be held accountable, and the people around Braun's going to have to know that bottom line, when the shit hits the fan for one of these verticals, it's Braun's fault too. At the end of the day, if there's a problem with one of these secretaries, that's Braun's fault too. And I don't want to hear him be like, well, it was the secretary of the vertical. I'm not not interested in hearing that. All right, moving on. This new cabinet model will allow us to be laser focused on delivering results for Hoosiers, said Governor-elect Braun. By aligning agencies and reorganizing the executive branch, we can drive accountability for leaders and agencies, promote better coordination and communication between our administration and the Indiana General Assembly, and create efficiency across state government. All right, now the restructured cabinet model will be assembled as follows. Cabinet position, Secretary of Management and Budget. Role, responsibility for developing the budget to realize the governor's vision, providing management of the agencies in finance, technology, and shared services, and serving as operational oversight across secretary verticals. Reporting officers and agencies, and then it lists the various departments and or agencies that will fall within that vertical. You'll see the vertical map here in a minute. Department of Administration, Office of Technology, Archives and Records Administration, State Department of Personnel, Inspector General, Public Access Counselor, Office of the Administrative Law Proceedings, Ethics Commission and Management's Performance Hub, Public Retirement System, State Budget Agency, State Employees Appeals Commission, Department of Local Government and Finance, Board of Tax Review, State Board of Accounts, Distressed Unit Appeal Boards, Department of Revenue, and Indiana Finance Authority. I'm going to tell you why I'm excited about this for this reason right here. I have, in the position that I hold as your amazing host, I have reached out to people within the Department of Local Government Finance and the State Board of Accounts, and Kate can attest, it is not easy talking to those people in those departments. And it's also not easy getting a phone call through to the governor to say, hey, somebody ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing down here. Now there's going to be somebody. Okay, it's not even been there. She's not even all hear me. That's fine. So the thing is, now there's going to be somebody there specifically that we can go straight to. So what I was saying was, you can attest to the fact that you for various reasons, and myself and others have tried contacting people in the DLGF or the State Board of Accounts, and it's not an easy doing. It's hard to get a hold of these people. At the same time, it's not easy to just pick up the phone and call the governor. In this way, there'll be like an intermediary that we can go to and be like, yo, we're having a hard time. And, so I'm kind of interested specifically on this one. All right, moving on. Cabinet of the Secretary of Commerce. Role, responsible for driving economic opportunity for the state and for Hoosiers. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is it says not including quasi-agencies. However, it then adds Indiana Economic Development Corporation. That is a quasi-agency. Like, this blows me away that it says not including quasi-agencies, but then the first agency named is the definition of a quasi-agency. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation needs to be destroyed. Destroy it, tear it apart, okay? So, all right. Moving on in this, I'm not going to go through all of the departments. You can see this. Cabinet position, Secretary of Health and Family Services, responsible for improving coordination across constituent-facing health and well-being services, addressing public health policy holistically. Department of Health, Family and Social Services Administration, Department of Child Services, Department of Veterans Affairs. Okay. I want you to see this. So right now, right here, right off the bat, we've seen two departments that until Braun took over, this Indiana Destination Development Corporation, this used to be under the lieutenant governor. It's not anymore. It's now under the Secretary of Commerce, who answers directly to Braun. This veterans down here, this Department of Veterans Affairs used to be under the lieutenant governor. It's not anymore. It's now under the Secretary of Health and Family Services, which is directly under the governor. All right, moving on. Secretary of Public Safety, responsible for ensuring the safety and security of residents by overseeing law enforcement, emergency preparedness, and public safety policy development. Of course, we're going to see the Department of Corrections, Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, Law Enforcement Academy, Homeland Security, Office of School Safety, Integrated Public Safety Commission, Parole Board, Department of Toxicology. Okay. Secretary of Energy and Natural Resources, responsible for driving energy and recreation policy to protect the needs of Hoosiers while pursuing sustainable economic development. Okay. And we see various people who's in charge of, the people that are in here. A couple of these have been under the lieutenant governor before, but now they're not. Secretary of Education, obviously responsible for programming across full spectrum of education from pre-K to college, as aligned with Senator Braun's agenda. And then, of course, we see who's obviously in there. Then the Secretary of Transportation and Infrastructure, responsible for maintaining the state's transportation infrastructure broadband system to support Indiana's economic growth and quality of life. Okay. And the broadband office, that used to be under the lieutenant governor. It's not anymore. Secretary of Business Affairs, responsible for managing the state's regulatory framework, ensuring that businesses and industry operate safely, ethically, and efficiently. And so we see, the various different people who's under here. Okay. And then this is interesting. The cabinet position, the lieutenant governor is now no longer in like his own little sphere. He is listed like as a cabinet member, which would be in like higher up government, like, talking about the presidency. But this is really interesting. Here's his role. He serves as the Indiana Senate and assumes the role of the governor should the sitting governor be unable to fulfill the duties of office or if the office falls vacant due to death. That's his job. That's all his job is. Reporting offices and agencies. And this is for everybody out there that's called me a liar in the last 2 weeks. Stick it. Stick it, stick it, stick it, stick it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this office used to have a shit ton of more reporting agencies underneath of it. But right here, we see the lieutenant governor has reporting offices of the Indiana State Department of Agriculture and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Now, there are still those out there saying that Braun is going to take this Department of Agriculture away from him. I don't know if that's true or not, because it seems like they've put this out, and I don't think that they would have put this out if that's going to now be ripped away. But just to be clear, it is 11:04 p.m. on Thursday, November 21st, which means we have 41 days until these people officially take office. It can happen. I hear Kate. What's up?
Well, the other thing is that this Office of Community and Rural Affairs.
Yep.
What's one of their primary functions?
Shit, you tell me.
That's Okra.
Okay.
What does Okra do? Grants.
Okay. Yeah.
Grants out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make more sense for the Commerce Secretary to be dealing with?
Yeah, really. It would make sense. Yeah. That's a weird thing. I didn't know
that would be a really easy one to yank away and say, listen, it's dealing with money all the time. This really
right.
needs to go to, or economic development.
Yeah, either one of those could handle it.
I love that what you're pointing out is about how much reduction there has been in the lieutenant governor's role. But this is serving two purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reducing the role of the lieutenant governor, but it's also tying him to Trump. Because what's Trump's thing been?
Efficiency.
Efficiency and streamlining government.
Yeah.
But you notice what's missing in this entire thing?
What?
Something that Trump has talked about that this guy hasn't?
What?
Reducing wasteful spending.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there is no
mention
plan
of that anywhere in this document. He's trying to sound like Trump, though, by throwing out that streamlining and efficiency over and over again without ever mentioning spending.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
find that interesting. This is a interesting document that's serving two purposes at once.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly care for either one of them.
Yeah. That's good. Well, and I think secretly,
I mean, I don't have a problem with them sticking, Beckwith in the cupboard under the stairs. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
If you're going to streamline government and create greater efficiency and accountability, then the wasteful spending also needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm pretty sure they have a document somewhere that says we are going to waste more money than anybody ever before. So, yeah. And just in wrapping up here, they've also got the cabinet position of superintendent of the state police, serves as executive head of the Indiana State Police. No shit. Handles oversight of the Indiana State Police and its operations, reporting office and agency, obviously the Indiana State Police. And then cabinet position, adjunct general of the Indiana National Guard, serves as commander of the Indiana National Guard, provides essential administrative functions related to the legislative and legal affairs, contracting, purchasing, and accounting, facilities management, human resources, and youth education. Dude, they've got more duties and responsibilities than the lieutenant governor. That's amazing. And then we then go down and we now pick up the rest of the document. Secretary of Management and Budget will oversee the overall transformation of state government, will work with cabinet secretaries to identify future opportunities for consolidation within and across agencies to improve service delivery and drive cost savings. Now, I guess there technically he says cost savings, but they really buried it. This function results-oriented structure is designed to ensure the freedom and opportunity agenda is executed with discipline and excellence. Further integration will be informed by dedicated analytical efforts, stakeholder inputs, and lessons that emerge from the initial reorganization. The cabinet will meet frequently to coordinate efforts and address challenges. The governor's chief of staff will set the agenda and may include other senior leaders as needed. Okay, so that is this document. That's his note. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We'll see. I think we'll continue to see press releases released from the governor either twice or 3 times a week. What it looks like they've been doing is they've either been releasing like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or sometimes they release Tuesday, Thursday. So I think we'll continue seeing that for a while. Then it'll slow down for the holidays and we will be done until the first of the year. This is very interesting, very interesting. I was listening into, it's been a while since I've just listened to a full episode of Kendall and Casey. Really, I mean, I've got to say this. Since I started broadcasting in 2015, it was my goal. I had one goal. My goal was to work to figure out a way to make it, to be hired, to get hired for the radio station and to work with 93.1 WIBC. That has been my goal in doing this, because my obviously wanted to do this full time, wanted to be able to turn it into a career, wanted to be able to do whatever. And when, I talked to Kate and other people and made the decision to go full time at this and try to make this a goal and do what we could with it, I realized wait a minute, there's still ways to do this and to be able to function without getting a job at the radio station. And that's why it's important that we share. And people, we joke about like sharing it. And, like I will always say as a joke, because only the serious people are still watching. But for those fake people, I'll always start off with saying, like, my goal here is to become rich and famous and be like madly famous all over. And politics and informing people and education, that's like second and third. You guys all know the truth. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I need to be able to eat, feed bills, pay bills and stuff like that. But my goal is education and trying to get people to understand. But common sense tells you the more people that are listening, the more people that you're reaching. So that's always been a goal. However, quite some time ago, I realized, no, we're doing what I want to do without being there. I don't want somebody that's going to tell me how I have to think or what I have to say. And that happens a lot in radio. Well, WIBC was actually a place that I felt like, no, they're not actually told what to say there. And they're allowed to have opinions that don't always go with management and whatnot. And I thought that was cool. And I have become, over the years, I have become friends with a lot of different people that work like behind the scenes at 93.1. I've become friends with personalities, radio personalities, Tony Katz, Abdul Hakim Shabazz, Rob, and Daisy from the Chicks on the Right, and Nigel and Hammer and Nigel, various different people here, a lot of their producers. I've become friends with Ethan and talk to these people, go down and do things with them, and have been engaged with these people. But I've got to be honest, it really bothered me what Rob did. What Rob did with Rainwater really, really bothered me, because I know how close they were, and I don't have a problem with Rob deciding that he's going to back a buddy. I'm friends with this person. I'm going to back this person. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him deciding I'm going to back Braun because it's going to help my buddy out. I'm even fine if he wants to be a sellout. In my mind, if he wants to sell out, I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is the way that he felt because of that. He needed to treat Don. What he did to Don, in my opinion, was a step too far. And he's going to be like, well, it was just da-da-da-da. No. When he had Don in there for 2 hours and they were cool like they'd always been, it was weeks after he had already picked that he was in, supporting Braun. He was still cool with Rainwater. Rainwater was still cool with him, but he had him in there one day and they were talking and he was cool with Don. And Don literally gets up and he leaves. The segment's over and he leaves. And as he's walking out the door, Don's probably still in the building. He's not even got to the elevator yet. And Rob called him a lazy idiot. He didn't call him a lazy idiot to his face. He waited until he left the room and called him a lazy idiot. And I just can't respect that. And I'm be honest, I've had a hard time listening to anything for any length of time that Rob's had to say since then. I now hear him as that grating voice, that sellout that I just, and it's not a sellout for politics. It's not a sellout to he sold out a friend. He sold out a friendship. And I have a hard time with that. So today was the first time I turned on the radio and I listened to them for a minute. I click it on, and the first thing that I hear is Beckwith. And I commented on there, and I was like, dude, is this the Beckwith show now every day? Every day. They since the election, there's been 12 business days since the election. 12, the election was Tuesday, so there was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then there was, Monday through Friday, and then Monday through Thursday. Today's Thursday. That's been 12 days. So 12 chances for Kendall and Casey to have a program. They've had 12 programs. Beckwith has been on like 6 of those 12 programs. That is too much. And literally, and I know it's a joke, but I turned on right when they were on there with Beckwith was actually on there for a reason that I kind of agree with. I'm not even going to get into all that. But then Casey wanted to ask Beckwith a question, and Rob kept like interrupting and ran it out. So like she couldn't ask the question. Like, I'm like, no, like, is that what's going to happen? Well, then it was the joke because what she wanted to ask him was Beckwith actually tweeted out the other day, Rob M. Kendall for comms director. And I was like, like, I know it's a joke, but for real, like it wasn't politics then. He sold out a buddy for this perceived seat at this table. And they like the fact that Rob is so ignorantly blind to what is getting ready to happen to him lets me know he's not worth listening to anymore. And if ever I get to the point that you have decided that I'm a fraud or whatever, I would tell you, please turn me off. Quit listening to me. If you're not getting something out of it, turn it off. But I don't know. If you get something here, anything at all, I would ask you to hit the like. If you could, that would be fantastic. We would love it. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Comment, share the show with everyone you know. We will not be here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Thank God we've got here to the weekend, folks. I want you to have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful Saturday. And we will see you back here next week. I will do my best to be on time next week. We will do better there, hopefully. I'll see what I can do there. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Remember, we won't be on tomorrow or Saturday unless something insane happens, and there's always a possibility of that. So check out, tune in, maybe best hit the button to turn on your subscriptions and your notifications. That would help the most. But other than that, we will see you Sunday back here. Sunday. That's the 24th. Oh my God, that's going to be Thanksgiving week. So we're going to have shows next week. I'll keep you posted, let you know, and we'll see what's going to happen. I'm sure we'll take a break at some point next week for the holiday, but we'll see what goes on. So you guys have a wonderful night. Have a you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Bilbrey time forever. All right, you guys have a good one, and we will see you later. Bye. Oh, no, we've got the ball of death. All right, hold on. Sorry. What a horrible time to get the ball.